Welcome back to the channel, and this is going to be chapter 3 of the Paratech, or the Para Ordinance 1911 double stack with the misfeeding problems. We're going to get into it here in a little bit. I think we figured out the problem. It's between one of two things. I'm thinking it's either the lip on the magazine is causing it to jam, and we're going to swap out some magazines and see if that works. I don't think that's the problem though, because I've got 4 different magazines here, and if they're all malfunctioning, they're all Paratech original magazines, so I highly doubt that. The one thing I do think it is though is the slide lock lever is sticking, and I'll show you what I mean by that here in just a minute. Alright, so essentially what I've found thus far with the Para Ordinance 1911 is that while operating, it is cycling, but it is jamming when it is trying to go back into battery with another round. Now, both of these guns have been cleared prior to filming. This one has a magazine in it, which is empty. Right there, you can see there's nothing in the magazine. There's one reason why I have a magazine in this firearm. I'm going to show you that in a second. Now, you have your notch here on the Paratech, or any 1911 for that matter, that when the firearm is empty, it'll signify that and it'll lock it open. Okay? Your secondary pin, or I'm sorry, your secondary notch here is for the takedown. At no time should this firearm lock open on the takedown notch so that you can get this slide lock lever out. So we will put this back into battery, and you can see how hard that slams shut when we are chambering another round or going from a locked open position. So what I've found thus far is if I cycle this firearm, I can actually get it to lock there on this takedown notch, as opposed to where it's supposed to lock open on the slide stop lock lever. And as you can see, if you look, it almost presents as a misfeed. So that's why originally I was thinking, you know, okay, sure, maybe it's a misfeed. But after watching the videos that I've taken of this firearm, I basically think that this slide lock lever is worn out, and we're going to start with that. Now, the other thing I want to show you is I'm going to drop that magazine. I'm going to push this mag release, and you're going to see what happens. It actually locks the firearm forward. So I don't know if it's these lips on this magazine that are causing the problem, or if it's the worn out slide lock lever that you see here. Now, the way that I think we're going to fix this, I'll show you here in a second. I'm going to change camera angles. The way I think we're going to fix this is we're going to install a Wilson Combat slide lock lever. This is the bulletproof stainless model that we have here, and we're going to swap out the slide lock lever on this firearm to see if it fixes the problem. Now, that being said, this part is machined that it should fit the majority of 1911s. However, you need to realize that there may be some machining involved. I'm hoping that this drops right into the firearm. It looks like it will pin-wise, and we're going to go from there. We're going to disassemble this weapon and install this slide lock lever and see if this still binds up the way that it does with new parts in. So we've removed the recoil spring out of the Paratech, and we have the firearm disassembled enough that we're going to be able to slide this slide backwards and get this slide lock lever out of the firearm. Alright everybody, so I've cleaned up the firearm a little bit. It's reassembled, and the one thing I'm going to tell you is that I functioned the weapon off camera after being reassembled, and I could not replicate the problem that we just had with the magazine in or out of the weapon. So I am confident that this fixed the problem. Now what I want to show you is, if you can see that, this slide lock lever has a lot of wear on it. Here, in here, and on here on the pin itself, where as well it has an extreme amount of wear here on the lever and as well as the catch. So I'm assuming that over the years of this gun being shot, now I am not the original owner, so I'm not sure how much this weapon was shot or wasn't shot, but I want to instill in you guys that every time that this racks up, that's a heavy piece of steel or aluminum or any type of metal for that matter, going backwards and forwards multiple times on any firearm. Now, we've put the new slide lock lever in, and I physically have tried with the magazine in. Again, this magazine is empty. The firearm itself is empty as well. We've already checked the chamber. So I will reload this for you. And before, if you recall correctly, it would catch here on the disassembly point of the slide. So I go forward, and I will physically try to keep it there, and it will not catch. The previous one, all I had to do was push it up a little bit and it would catch on there. It will not do it. It will only lock where it is supposed to lock, and then if I drop the mag, it cycles as it needs to. So I'm pretty confident that this is fixed. We'll talk a little bit more in this video about what we did to diagnose this and go from there. So like I said, guys, I think that that is going to fix the problem with this Para Ordinance 1911 double stack. If it does not fix the problem, my next idea is going to be replacement of these double stack mags. But what I can tell you from past experiences with this gun, again, it is empty, there's nothing in it. Before, when we were having issues with this firearm, it would catch right about here a little bit. And what I can tell you now is, cycling this firearm, it is not catching whatsoever. It feels a lot smoother. I'm 98% confident that the issue with this firearm was this slide lock lever that we replaced with a Wilson Combat slide lock lever. I do not know, I'll have to follow up with the previous owner if that was an aftermarket part or not. I'm going to attach some photos of the slide lock lever that was in the gun, and it looks like somebody was either in there with a file or had tried to troubleshoot this before. It just does not look like a very good finish job, if that makes sense. It looks like somebody was in there trying to adjust it or make it function better. Maybe they were having the same problem. Maybe I bought a gun that somebody thought they had a problem with and they just didn't tell anyone and traded it in. So one thing that I do think I'm going to do as well is purchase some aftermarket magazines for this Para Ordinance firearm. These are the double stack stock magazines that come with it. They say right on them, made in Canada. So they did come with the gun when it was purchased, whoever purchased it before I did. I don't know how many owners it's had before me, but I have 4 of these stock magazines. And looking online, I can find different style and different material made magazines online for about $30 a pop. Now, to put that in perspective for you, I have a regular magazine here for my 1911 A1 single stack, and these you can buy for, honestly, a couple of bucks if you buy them used. Whereas if we go to the Wilson Combat magazine that I use for my single stack 1911, these are $44 a piece. So I mean, they're a much better quality magazine in comparison to the plain old 1911 single stack. The reason I went with these was because of the fact that this magazine, the oils from my hands were causing it to rust. The quality isn't that great, They're going to get you what you need, like they're going to feed, but this magazine in my hand is just a quite better feel, to be totally honest. You can tell it's a better quality, it's made better, it fits in the gun nicer. So what I'm going to do is the same thing with these double stacks. I'm going to buy a different double stack magazine. They're a little bit harder to find because it's a one-off, oddball kind of firearm. I didn't know that when I purchased it, but apparently the Paratech brand is hard to come by aftermarket parts, hence using the Wilson Combat parts to rectify the problem. And like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment in the comment box. Please subscribe to the channel. We're at about 305 followers as of maybe 5 minutes ago. We're really trying to get to 500 and keep that ball rolling. I appreciate every one of you guys that follows me, and I really hope you guys are learning stuff from the channel. Like I said, this is the video that we think we fixed the problem on the Paratech. This is the third or fourth video in the series. I've made a couple of shorts involving this firearm as well. The next one, we're going to take it to the range, and we're going to see how fast we can get the firearm to cycle, or if it cycles at all. If it continues to misfeed, our next plan is to change out the magazines. And if that doesn't fix it, I don't know what I'm going to do. But here's to hoping that this slide lock lever from Wilson Combat fixed the problem and we don't have any further issues with this 1911. It is a very beautiful gun. It's very well made for the most part. It looks great. Minus, like I said, there's some machining in there that looks like somebody did, some gunsmithing, and I think that was part of the problem, that somebody had their hands in it that should not have, and that may have been why this weapon was malfunctioning. Again, like I said earlier, if you don't have the experience, feel free to take it to a gunsmith. Simplistic things, fine. Disassembly, reassembly, you can watch YouTube videos just like you are now. But if you're not sure of something, don't take a file to a firearm. Don't take a sander or something like that. If you don't know what you're doing, you can cause detrimental damage to the firearm. So the reason I did this video was because I could not find a lot on Para Ordinance firearms and their malfunctions. I wanted to be able to show you guys how to fix this common feeding problem, as well as what parts you need to fix it. So assuming we have it fixed, we'll do one last follow-up video as well and see if there's a part 4 or possibly a part 5, depending on whether this fixed the problem or not.